and welcome to Big Jim Gaming, where we have new videos every Friday, just like this one, and lots of bonus content during the week as well. And today, I'm going to give you my 2-month update of my experience with my first ever Nintendo Switch. Now, you may have seen, if not, check it out, my buying guide to the Nintendo Switch. After this video, you might want to give it a glance. I'm quite proud of it. I bought this just over 2 months ago, and I thought I'd give you a nice little update, and I'm going to do it as a pros and cons list. That way, it can help you see some of the advantages and disadvantages as well. Now, I'm going to be using, as the example, the Switch Lite, because obviously that's the one I chose to purchase. However, I will mention anything that's different with the other models as well. So the first thing I learnt about my Switch, the 32 megabytes of memory which come with it are not enough, or anywhere near. You need a micro SD card. I made a mistake. I went and bought the cheapest one at 64 megabytes. Don't do that. You want to get, ideally, the 256 megabyte one as a minimum 128. Because you're going to use the eShop, and I'm going to go into why shortly. You need more memory. Trust me, getting less is false economy. I learnt that the hard way. And I've got to say, the biggest pro's got to be the Nintendo exclusive games. You've all heard of Breath of the Wild. Well, that was a launch title with the Nintendo Switch, and everybody still talks about it. It's the standard when you're looking at the battery life, which most websites use, on how long it can run a game, because it's just that good. Obviously, you've got plenty of others as well. Explore through them. I think Nintendo's game strength at the minute is top-notch. What they're bringing out at the minute is awesome. And if for nothing else, the Nintendo Switch exclusive games, a bit like you buy a PlayStation 4 for games like The Last of Us and Uncharted, well, buy the Nintendo Switch for Mario and Zelda and everything else that's good Nintendo. They're brilliant. The con with the games is got a bit of prices. There's actually a term going around on the internet, which I'm going to borrow, called Switch tax, where you will find most games you buy are more expensive for the Switch. Let's take, for example, Skyrim. The developers of Skyrim seem to be determined that you can play it on absolutely anything, which is great for gamers, of course. And to me, it's a perfect game for the Switch because you can pick it up and play it on the go, or you can sit down and play it for a nice long session as well. It's one of those games which, of course, you can put hundreds of hours into, so having that flexibility is perfect. But here's the problem. Look at the prices you can buy it for the PS4. And here's the price you can buy it for the Switch. And that's second hand. If you look on the eShop, it's a 50 quid game still. Perhaps because the games are coming out later for the Switch than everything else, I don't know. Switch tax seems to be a real thing. So, whilst there are some bargains to be had, a lot of the games, if you're looking at playing an established franchise which you're familiar with, you're going to pay a bit more to play it on your Switch than you can on other devices. Another pro here for you. It's a current gen console. There's no waiting list, at least not here in the UK where I am. You can get it straight away. And it's the cheapest. The RRP for a PS5, 450 quid. 200 quid for a Switch Lite. 300 quid for the standard, 350 for the OLED. Except it gets better. I don't know why, but all the major outlets, such as Game, Argos and Amazon, seem to be selling brand new Switches for less money. You can get a brand new OLED for 310. You can get a brand new standard for 260. The Switch Lite's still 200. And because it has been out for 5 years now, the second-hand market is brilliant. As you might have seen on my buying guide, I only paid 120 for this. It's the cheapest way to get into a current-gen system by far, and they're readily available. If you want to buy a Switch now, you can walk to a shop and just walk out with one. Try doing that with a PS5. Con with that, though, as a current-gen system, it is the least powerful. Now, on the Nintendo exclusive games, you're not going to notice that at all because they're built for the Switch, as they should be. But on some of the bigger third-party games, so I've been playing a bit of The Witcher 3 lately on my Switch, you can notice it just a tad. Now, I don't think it's as much as a big deal as a lot of the internet's making it out to be, but I need to play more third-party games to really make an informed decision on that. And especially playing it on handheld, because you have got a smaller screen, let's face it, if you've got the OLED, which is the biggest screen at 7 inches, that's still quite small, and because of the pixel density, you really are going to struggle to notice it. On your telly, you might say it doesn't perform quite as well, I don't see that as a problem myself, but I probably need to get more experience with the third-party games before I can give a categorical answer on it. Either way, it's something I felt I should mention. I mentioned the eShop earlier, and I think that is a massive pro for a Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm not a great fan of buying games digitally. I much prefer to own a physical copy. I like to build a collection, and if I buy a game I don't particularly like and it was a little bit expensive, sort of 20, 30, 40, 50 quid, I like to have the option of selling it and recouping some of my money as well, or trading. But I will say, as someone who's not very familiar with any type of eShop, the Nintendo one is so user-friendly. And also, in the last couple of months, at least since I've had it, there's constant sales on. So you'll see here that I have a wish list. Apart from using that to keep track of games that I want, I go through it every week or so just to see what's on sale. And then I know which ones to get. I've been playing Sam & Max Save the World lately, and I got that on the eShop. After playing a demo, that's right, you get some free demos on certain games as well. Just gets better. I bought it for £10.50. I'm having a great time with it. Whilst you may not want to buy games digitally, there are some that are only available that way, and it's a really good experience to use. The con there is, again, coming down to price. Every game you buy, just double check the eShop and your preferred online retailer, whether it be eBay, Amazon, CEX, whatever. Or go through between the three if you want to be a real good, careful shopper. Because some games you'll find, and I'm going to go back to Sam & Max here, look at the price of this for physical. Now, you know what I paid for it because I just told you, just over 10 quid. Now, that is a big difference. So it just goes to show that that was by far and away the cheaper option to play it through the eShop. But equally, you will find instances where there are cheaper games physically than on the eShop. So make sure, whatever you're buying, shop around. Unless it's an eShop exclusive, in which case, wait till it comes on sale. Now, obviously, the big selling point with the Nintendo Switch is the portability, so I'm not going to go on about how handy that is, because you know it. What I will say is it is also ideal for the short session gamer. So if you've only got, say, 15 minutes free, pick up your Switch, as long as you've charged it, press your home button, press any button 3 times, and you're in. And you can literally just choose a game, give it a couple of seconds to load, and you can play just for 5 or 10 minutes if you want to. That is a lot more convenient than just turning on a console connected to a television for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And it does encourage you, or at least it encourages me, to play games more. I wouldn't turn PlayStation on for 15, 20 minutes. I couldn't be bothered. I'd just watch something on the telly. I will just turn this on, because all I've got to do is take it out of the case. The only thing I will say, and I'm aiming this mainly towards the Switch Lite, is I would have liked a better battery. Now, I'm no technical expert. I'm sure that they've done the best they can with the technology and the components available to keep it within a price range. There'd be no good saying, yes, it's got a 10-hour battery life, but it's £1,000, because nobody would buy it. But I would have liked more. I think everybody with any wireless device, including their phones, wants more battery. The stats are true, what they say, 4.5 hours plus, depending on how demanding the game is on the battery. I just would have liked more. Another pro is going to be the accessories you can get. Now, I've tried to keep it simple. I've got a screen protector, a memory card, and my hard case. But you can get the steering wheel from Mario Kart and other racing games that you put your Joy-Con into. There's a tennis racket, there's a golf club. Reminds me a bit of the Wii, actually, doesn't it? And of course, there's the grips as well, which a lot of people say are really good. I don't personally find that I need a grip with the Lite. I think it's very comfortable to hold, and I have held it and played it for a couple of hours like this, no problem at all. If I do get a standard Switch as well, I might find it more useful to use a grip then. I'll let you know. The only con, like anything with the accessories, is they can be a little bit pricey. Now, there are lots of third-party things out there as well. You'll have to use your best judgment there on whether you want to get the official Nintendo or whether you want to get something third-party. All I would say is read reviews, especially with controllers. So I've already touched on the games earlier and said that the Nintendo exclusives are a massive pro, and they are. Another pro has got to be the variety of games. Now, depending what websites you read, because I'm certainly not going to count them all, I think there's something like 9,000 or 10,000 games available for the Switch. They are certainly not all going to be gems, and they're certainly not all worth playing. I have noticed a couple of mobile games which you can get on iOS for less money, or actually you just wouldn't bother buying at all because they're not very good. So you have to be a bit picky, but that's the same with buying games for anything. I don't think that's a pro or a con. But the variety is superb. Nintendo's always sold itself as the more family-friendly game console. And it certainly fulfills that. There's Mario Party, Super Smash Bros. I've mentioned it a few times now, Mario Kart. There's lots of games you can play as a family, as a group, with the kids. You want to interact with people. You can even play couch co-op. So it definitely is a good all-round console. But there is also something there for the gamers who want something a little bit mature. And no, I don't mean the fact there's the odd hentai title on there. Don't be fucking pervy. What I mean is, there's a huge amount of survival horrors. You've got Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus some of the spin-offs as well. I'm currently playing Resident Evil Revelations 2 on my Switch. You've got a lot of indie titles as well that go down the horror route. You've got Grand Theft Auto. It's not a very good version of it, the GTA trilogy, but let's face it, the GTA trilogy was a bit of a bust on everything. But you've still got Grand Theft Auto. You've got a really good one I'm playing at the minute called Thief Simulator, which is a very much a stealth game where you go and infiltrate and you steal things, as the name would suggest. They've hit the nail on the head here with the variety of games, and I really think there is something for every single genre. So no matter what type of games you like to play, there's a game for you on the Switch. And I don't necessarily feel that they'd done that previously with the Wii U or the Wii. So well done, Nintendo. The con there is going to be with the third-party games. Now, we've already mentioned price. However, there's also less variety of third-party games. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some third-party games which are going to come to the Switch first, or play best on the Switch. And there might even be some third-party games which are Switch exclusives. But there is also a lot of things which you would expect to be available both on the PlayStation and on the Xbox, which either isn't available on the Switch, or hasn't been available on the Switch for a long time, has only just come there. So let's look at Skyrim. That's been around since 2011 or 12. I can't remember now, it's been so long. It's only been on the Switch a short amount of time. It runs brilliantly on it, and it's a great way to play it. But if you were waiting to play it on your Nintendo system, you'd have been waiting quite a few years now. And the same goes with, I've just mentioned Resident Evil. So I've said you've got up to number 6. I've said that you've got some of the spin-offs as well. But what about number 7? What about Resident Evil Village, which has been out for well over a year now, I believe? It's started to come down in price on the second-hand market. I know that because I've just bought it from a PlayStation. Well, God knows if or when you'll ever get Resident Evil Village on this. It might even be on the next generation, the Switch Pro or whatever, Switch 2, whatever they come out with next. So if you are really big into your third-party titles, yes, there are some that come for the Switch, which are superb. Yes, there are some that come to the Switch which perhaps don't run as well as they do on other platforms, but there are also quite a few that you won't get at all. And my final pro has got to be the selection of retro games. So the most famous retro-style game that's only just come out is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. It's a brand new game developed with modern technology with a retro feel. You'd be surprised how many of those are out there actually on the Switch. I've played a good selection of them so far, and I'm really enjoying them, as well as proper retro games as well. So if you are into your retro games, unless you're a PC player, of course, I think this has got the best selection of retro games on a console at the moment. And the only con possible with that one is if you don't like retro games, because you're a savage and you're wrong, because they're awesome. In summary, I obviously like my Switch. I really, really do. I'm glad I got it. I wish I'd got one a bit sooner, but like anything, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I'm really enjoying it now. I do think now's the perfect time to get one because the second-hand market has really come down in price. Switch Lite, 100 quid, easy. The version 2 Switch, 150, 160 quid plus, depending what accessories and games it comes with. The Switch OLED, there isn't really a second-hand market for at the minute, and if you do get one, it's not going to be a lot less than the 310 it's at for brand new. But the good news is it used to be 350 brand new. So you're already saving 40 quid. Just go and buy it new, you tight ass. It's a great time to own one. I'm convinced it's the best library of games on Nintendo system yet. The online service I've not even touched on yet because I need to play that a little bit more. I'm going to bring a video out hopefully during the week on that, so keep your eyes peeled. And it can be as expensive as you want or as cheap as you want with the accessories. Just make your own minds up. We're all grown-ups here. If you want a controller, then just get a controller. You don't need loads of bits of plastic. You don't need to go nuts like a lot of us did with a Wii because you end up filling landfills anyway. Just make sure you get a screen protector, a memory card, and a hard case, and you're away. It's definitely the best Nintendo game system yet, as it should be, because it's the latest one. If you're not improving with every single system you bring out, you're doing things wrong. So well done, Nintendo. You've done exactly as you should have, and you've done it really well. I really do recommend getting a Nintendo Switch right now. The only thing I will say is I'm not sure I want it to be my only console. I'm sure I'd be quite happy with it, but with the lack of third-party support compared to PlayStation and Xbox, I do feel I might be missing out as well. To me, it's a perfect addition, and I love having more than one console anyway. I like having that variety. For you, you need to decide what type of games you want to play. Or better yet, pick one up secondhand. Ask for one for Christmas. You won't regret it. It's awesome. I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, which as always is coming soon. So watch this space. Ta-da!